Happy Friday. Let's talk about templates. Templates in RightCapital are a time-saving and simplifying feature to help improve your workflow. They're designed to help bring you more consistency and efficiency to your planning process while also letting you customize the experience for your unique practice and for your clients. Previously, there were 7 types of templates available in RightCapital. We recently rolled out our Right Express planning type, and we did have another update that recently released an estate checklist template. So I'll go through the original 7 with those other 2 today. So we'll get a nice comprehensive list of all 9 different template types you can create within RightCapital. Today, we're going to walk through not only how to create and apply each type of template, we'll also talk about some common use cases that a lot of our advisors are using these templates for, as well as how to tailor them to your style and the client experience that you're looking to create for your clients. We'll also wrap up with a live Q&A at the end, so as we go along, feel free to drop any questions you might have in the Q&A box below, and I'll get to as many as I can before the hour's up. One other thing to note here on the housekeeping side, this webinar is going to be recorded. So if you happen to want to watch this webinar back in the future, you will get a follow-up email about a day or so after the webinar is completed with that recording link for anybody who wants to watch it in the future as well. And it will be accessible on our Help Center on our webinars page too. I have about 40 to 45 minutes of content planned today, so let's jump in and start exploring how templates are going to make our day-to-day planning smoother and more scalable. I'm going to dive into the templates tab within our advisor portal here, and this is all accessible again in the advisor portal. We're not within a specific client plan yet. One more quick definition on templates in RightCapital for anybody who's never seen templates before. They allow you to predefine workflows and settings that you can apply across client plans. Think of them as your digital playbook, for lack of a better word. They're going to standardize your processes, save time, and create consistency for your client experience. Some quick benefits on templates is they're going to save setup time per client. They're going to create repeatable workflows. We're going to deliver a more focused client experience. And we're all going to be able to do it from this templates tab right here in the advisor portal. Let's start with the first template type. We can see we have quite a few to get through. So if you hear me say, and the next template type we're going to talk about today, just bear with me. I'm going to say that about 9 times. But starting with report templates, let's take a look here. With report templates in RightCapital, they're going to allow you to pre-build custom layouts for our downloadable PDF reports. Again, saving time. You'll hear me say saving time a lot throughout the webinar today as well. What's going to happen here is you're going to have, similar within a client plan, you're going to be able to generate a PDF report. With the report templates, you'll remember if you are familiar with generating a report in RightCapital, you have the series of modules available in RightCapital for you to select. The modules that you select are going to be the modules that are generated in that PDF report. A lot of times, advisors are utilizing the same modules across different clients to generate multiple of a similar type of report. So we can utilize report templates to access a faster way to select all those modules instead of having to go through and create the same templates each time. Let's talk about how to create a template, but I also really quickly want to just go over how to actually generate just a basic report within RightCapital. So before I even do the creation of this report template here, I'm just going to open up a sample client plan. And this is going to bring me to within the actual client plan. And then to generate a report, once you've done all the data entry and you're ready to give something to your client, you're going to click on the gear icon in the upper corner here, and then we're going to click on Reports tab. This is how we're going to generate a simple PDF report. You'll see here, spoiler alert, we can apply the template from this screen as well, but I'll touch on that in a moment. We can see here we can generate a report on specific items within the software. So just to generate a few of them here. And then once you make your selections of the specific modules you want to see, you can click Download Selected Pages. And this is going to download it as a PDF report to your computer here. Sometimes it can take a moment. My computer does realize that it's Friday and is ready for the weekend off. But here's that report generated now that it's complete. And we can see here that that was a manual selection process. So we've gone through and selected these modules here automatic or manually. And we're going to have to do this for every single client plan. Say we need to run reports for a couple of different clients. We're going to have to go in here and select all the boxes. A report template in this case would save us some time. Instead of having to go through each client and select all of the checkboxes automatically, we can apply a report template that's going to automatically select those boxes of the modules that we want to utilize. So let me back out to our advisor portal here. I'll close this extra tab. And then within the templates tab, under the reports tab, the first tab that we fall on here, we can see that we have the ability to add a new template into the system. So if I click new template, it's going to give me a blank screen here. You can utilize the three dots inside of the circle icon here to rename the template. You can rename the template, whatever is most easiest for you to keep track of it. Sometimes our advisors will use maybe age demographics like a retirees template. You can even use something like a basic onboarding template. Maybe this is a new client and you're going to be just giving them some baseline information about the client plan, regardless of the template or of the template title. Once you do make that selection, you can hit the checkbox to save the selection. And then from here, we can make the choices of which modules we want to include in the report template. So if we go ahead and just select a couple different ones here, again, make the selections for what makes the most sense for you. And then at the very bottom here, we can hit save. This is then going to become an option for us to utilize this report template when we're generating client plans. I'll talk about some other use cases for report templates that are really common here. I have a couple built out, something like an initial planning summary. This is going to include baseline high-level information that is more on the beginner side and not really talking about those deep dive into client situations. Our initial planning summary typically includes something like the dashboard snapshot page, which is going to include information that's pulling across from all modules. We also have the balance sheet, which is going to just list out the client's assets and liabilities in a nice balance sheet table view. The investment asset allocation is going to give us some information about the portfolio of the overall account and the rate of return applied to the plan. So that's great information to give our clients. We also have retirement analysis that's going to cover the probability of success in that Monte Carlo calculation. You'll notice here that the analysis tab is actually underlined. Any of the tabs that are underlined here are available for you to click on. So if you click on it, you'll see here that there's some additional information for us to click into. The retirement analysis, cash flows, and tax strategies specifically have a lot of visuals and a lot of tabs making up the sub-tabs for those modules. So it can be notorious that a lot of pages are generated in the report by just clicking the overall module. So we give you a little bit of control here on selecting which specific visuals you might want to include in the report so we're not overwhelming our clients. In this case, since this is a more high-level initial planning summary, I've just included the probability of success in the confidence tab, but you can always come in here and customize this as well. I've also included the cash flow maps looking at the waterfall, and that's just going to show us a specific year of the cash flow. So maybe if we're looking to highlight cash flow, inflow, and outflows for a specific year, this can be a great visual, nice, easy to look at view of the cash flows. And then we also have the profile blueprint tab. You can click into the blueprint to give visibility to the clients on which of the tabs within the blueprint we want to show. And for anybody who's not familiar with the blueprint, that's just going to outline all the data entry features within RightCapital. So all of the clients' current assets and liabilities, their current income, savings, and expenses, as well as their current goals. And that blueprint is found under the profile tab. So we can see here that's one common use case for an initial planning summary. We also have something like a tax evaluation report. This is going to include tax information. RightCapital does have a very comprehensive tax module. So if you're running things like Roth conversion strategies or the withdrawal strategies to maximize taxes coming from the distributions on specific accounts, we can utilize something like a tax evaluation template here for a lot of our clients who might have a Roth conversion strategy being applied to their plan. And we can see that includes, again, the snapshot and the balance sheet. Those are great informational topics to include within the, or modules, not topics, I should say, to include in the report. And then we also have the tax estimate, the tax strategies, and the tax analyzer. And some of the tax analyzer selections have been made as well. Really great information there. And then, of course, the blueprint, again, just mapping out the client's assets and liabilities. We also have something, like I mentioned, oh, retirees is the one I clicked on. Or no, basic onboarding is the one I created. Retirees is going to be for that retiree age group. Sorry about that. So we have the dashboard snapshot and balance sheet. You'll notice that's a theme. Of course, you don't have to include that, but I do think those are beneficial areas within RightCapital to highlight to clients, and we've gotten good feedback on them. So it is great to include. And then with our retiree age group, we're going to be talking about the investment allocation as well as the tax allocation, perhaps talking about maybe dropping our portfolio to a little bit more conservative of a view. We're also going to talk about retirement. So Social Security, I know, is a big conversation around this time, as well as some cash flow information. I've included everything in the cash flows here just to show how the cash flows are looking year over year as we're approaching the later years of the plan. But of course, you can get more specific on what this looks like. We're also going to have a tax conversation with retirees in a lot of cases. Roth conversions are really, really popular. So we definitely want to have our tax strategies module in there if that's a strategy that we're running for the clients. And then we also have estate information. So stuff like our estate checklist and beneficiary modules, which are just going to allow us to indicate if we have specific estate information like wills, power of attorneys, information like that. And then the beneficiaries go in to allow us to dedicate the beneficiaries to the accounts entered within RightCapital. And then the analysis tab is just showing us that estate analysis flow chart that's going to give us an idea of how the assets are going to pass from the client to the co-client and then on to the heirs once the plan completes. So that's another really common use case there. So those are three really popular use cases in terms of a initial planning summary, a tax evaluation, and something for a specific client demographic. Now, when it comes to actually utilizing these templates, we're going to go within a client plan again, and I'm just going to open up my sample client here. And you'll notice earlier when we were generating a report in RightCapital, we clicked on the gear icon reports tab. And then right from this select template drop down here, we have the ability to select the templates that we've created. So depending on which template we select, these will check the boxes automatically for us. And it's a lot easier to go through and download this report. Excellent. Alrighty, so that is report templates in a nutshell there. Let me back out to my advisor portal here. Let's see, and then I will also go to my templates tab and we'll talk about planning access templates next. So planning access is going to allow us to control what sections or modules that clients can view when they log into their client portal. So when you invite your client to RightCapital, you can give them specific access on what modules you want them to view. Maybe we're not doing any education planning for these clients, so it's not worth giving them visibility to the education tab, things like that. So you can really control what you want the clients to see. This is something that we can control on an individual client level within the Clients tab of the Advisor portal. And then at any point when you click on any client, you'll have a Planning Access tab where you can directly control what modules the client has visibility to, again, when they log into their portal. With Planning Access templates, this is going to allow you to create planning access for specific client groups or templates that you can apply to all of your clients at one time, or again, a group of specific clients. We'll go ahead and click New Template here to add a new template. You'll notice this is a pretty similar process for all of the templates. From here, it's very similar to the report template. Instead of generating a report, however, it's going to be allowing us to select what access our clients are going to have. So you'll select the different modules that they will have visibility to. Some of them are still underlined. So if you only wanted to give your client a specific tab under retirement analysis, for example, you can get really specific on the different items that they're able to see. Anything that's not checked off will be completely hidden from the client view. Once you make the selections of what the client is able to see, you can apply the template on a broad scale by clicking Apply Template. This is going to allow you to either apply it to all clients, specific client groups, or individual clients at one time. So maybe, for example, you only had two clients you want to apply this to. You have full control over how many clients you want to apply this to. If maybe they don't all fit into one group, you still have flexibility on picking and choosing. You can also just apply to one client at a time if you have a client in a unique scenario. So that's the ability to apply the template here. You can also apply the template on an individual client basis as well. Back in the Clients tab under Planning Access again, you have this option here to select a template too. So you can apply the Planning Access templates in two places, under the Templates tab or within a specific client in the Planning Access tab. This is only going to allow you to do it one client at a time, so just keep that in mind for time saving efficiency. Some common use cases for a planning access template would be something like specific age groups, of course. So similar to how our report template focused on like a retiree age group, we do have a planning access template about that built out here as an example for you guys to see what it looked like if we're talking through maybe a millennial client situation. They're going to be focusing less on those later years of Social Security filing and retirement analysis, cash flow in the later years, and more things like maybe education planning, paying off student loans and debt planning. We can see here we have the snapshot on the balance sheet, great theme going on, and then budget, allowing us to track our expenses. So really working on wealth preservation and growth as we are in those early years of building a nest egg as the clients get older. Asset allocation to give them idea of how their accounts are doing in this earlier stage of life. And then at the very bottom here, I've checked off debt and student loans. Of course, we know our millennials are often seeing higher rates of debt and student loans based on the trends of going to college earlier now. And then we also have the blueprint tab. I've also included the vault in this template. For anybody who's not familiar with the vault, it just allows you to upload documents to a secured folder in a RightCapital plan. So you can give your clients access to the vault so they can upload documents on their end and you can upload documents on your end so you guys can share documents throughout RightCapital. There is also a private folder feature within the vault as well. So if you have documents that you want to upload to a client's vault that you don't want the clients to see, you do have a private folder in there as well. On top of a millennial client access, I also have built out something here like post-retiree access. So these are clients that have already retired. We have the snapshot view, just pulling in information from all over RightCapital. I also included risk in here. As the clients are getting older, we might need to have conversations about, lowering that exposure to the market and really evaluating what their risk tolerance is as they're getting older. We also have retirement analysis. You'll see is a light check mark here, which includes probability and confidence tab, just to show that probability of success in that Monte Carlo calculation. We're also going to be maybe talking about different insurance policies for these clients as we get a little bit older and maximizing what we can get from insurance planning. Tax strategies if we're running Roth conversions later on, as well as estate checklist information as well. And the vault, last but not least. We also can apply something to all clients. Say you have just one planning access template that you want to apply to all clients that's more comprehensive than the RightCapital default. The RightCapital default is just going to give access to the snapshot and the profile tab. So this is going to be something that you can apply to all clients. Maybe all your clients are going to be looking at this, and it's a little more comprehensive again than what RightCapital offers. So an example for that would be something like investment information on top of the snapshot, insurance information, and the profile tab as well. So you can get really creative on how you want these to look. Again, it's totally up to you as the advisor how you want to curate your client view. But excellent. So that is going to be planning access templates. We can apply it again in that clients tab under the planning access tab, or we can apply it right from our advisor portal in the templates tab here as well. We also have onboarding templates. Onboarding templates are streamlining the client data gathering process by defining which areas clients are asked to complete. So just to show anybody who's not familiar, when we are adding a new client into RightCapital, let me just make a client plan here really quickly. We can see here when we open up a client plan, RightCapital is going to give us the initial six-step data entry. This is that onboarding flow. So when we're looking at onboarding templates, this is what we're referring to. What steps do we want to give them access to? Do we want them to fill out income? Do we want them to fill out savings? Do we maybe want to do that together? Do we want to give them net worth? So you're giving them visibility on what data entry steps they are completing if you do invite them to do that themselves. Family is something that they have to complete, so you cannot hide the family tab, and I'll show you that in a moment. Let's go back to the templates tab here. I just wanted to show you what that onboarding is, so anybody who's not familiar. We can see here we have our onboarding template. Looks like very similar to the other template types. You can click New Template to start a new template. And then from here, you can select your template type. It's going to look like profile cards or the blueprint. Essentially, what that's going to mean is you can either do the data entry looking at profile cards like how we just saw, or you can also have your clients do the data entry in a more blueprint view. That's going to look like the blueprint under a profile tab where you're seeing a nice visual of the net worth and the client's broken out the different accounts by owner. Let me just head over to a blueprint tab for anybody who might not know what I'm referring to. Under Profile Blueprint, you'll see here you have the ability to add accounts to our net worth page here, breaking out. This was not a great example. I can see there's not that many assets in the plan, but we can throw some assets in here within the Blueprint tab. This is what the data entry will look like. You'll be able to add bank accounts, for example, right from this screen. And that's going to populate here. So depending on how you want your clients to enter their data, you can do it again from a blueprint view or a profile card view, and we can control what they have to enter. So for example, I have a simple onboarding template here, and that's going to show us the clients only able to enter net worth information, and they also will have access to the vault so they can upload specific documents. Maybe they have account statements that need to be included in the vault, so they can upload that there. Another use case would be something like risk investments in the vault. So we're highlighting risk questionnaire tolerance, risk tolerance questionnaires, as well as net worth information. So really just focusing on the investment accounts, what they have for their investments, as well as what is their risk tolerance. Do their investments line up with their risk tolerance? Is their portfolio too risky, not risky enough? This is going to be a great starting point to get that data so we can have that information when we converse with the clients later on. Also another template, and I'm titling these simply by the cards that we are giving them access to. However, you can title these, of course, whatever is most easy for you to keep track of. This is going to be another template type allowing us to focus on income and net worth. So again, pretty straightforward here. You can get really specific on the onboarding steps that your clients are going to face. Now, to apply this template, the way to do that is within a client that is already in our onboarding step, you'll see here when they're in that six-step data entry, there is going to be an onboarding tab. The onboarding tab disappears once we finish that six-step data entry, but while they're in that phase, when you first create the client plan, you can apply the onboarding template right from this template drop down in the onboarding tab under the client. So that's going to be how to apply the template. We saw some use cases. Let's take a look at the snapshot template as well. For anybody who's not familiar with the snapshot in RightCapital, that is going to be the layout of the widgets shown on the client's snapshot dashboard page. So when you open up a client plan, I know I'm bouncing back and forth between tabs. I hope nobody's getting a little dizzy, but let me know if I'm bouncing around too much. I can tone it down. But if I open up a client plan here, we can see the dashboard tab is going to bring us directly to the snapshot. This is a series of widgets that are going to pull information from all over RightCapital into one page. And we can see this is occurring for this specific plan on a series of different modules. You can customize the snapshot completely. You can always have individual clients and organize their snapshot from within the client plan. But if you have a snapshot configuration that you really like that you want to apply to all clients. Instead of having to dive in to every single client and reconfigure their snapshot, which would take way too long, we can always go into the templates tab again. Here under our advisor portal, templates and snapshot, we can configure a snapshot template and apply this template on a broader scale to multiple client plans at once. For example, we have a budgeting template. Maybe you're focusing on younger clients and you want to really get their budget handled and making sure they're not spending too much in one month and really building their wealth for the later years of the plan. We have what looks like a comprehensive budgeting snapshot showing them widgets pulling from the budget tool, the balance sheet information. There's no data filling in here because this isn't applied to a client plan, but once you, of course, apply it to a client plan, you'll see the information populate. We also are tracking historical net worth, the current monthly budget, as well as the allocation of the accounts. And then down at the bottom, we've included the probability of success and the savings rate so we can really focus on saving and building wealth. Another common use case would be something like a welcome view. This is super fun as we can curate the snapshot to be more welcoming. We can use the text boxes. You have the ability, if you click add item, to include text boxes. We have full size, half size, and double size. This is a half size text box for reference. You can include notes here, an agenda for a specific client meeting, or maybe things that have to be completed. It's fully customizable. You can type in here. And then in a nice overall welcome snapshot, we're including high-level information like our probability of success, our household risk score, our savings rate, that historical net worth, and we're also looking at things like risk as well. We also have the ability to look at something like a plan strength view. This is just going to show us how well is the plan doing, highlighting high level information again. These are just examples for you guys to build off of. This isn't something that you totally have to do. It's not set in stone. RightCapital does not have pre-built plans. So this is just going to be ideas here. And we can see that not only are we including that high level probability of success that everybody loves, we also have something like the stress test, which is going to show how the plan is doing against uncontrollable market scenarios. Tax allocation is also super helpful, showing us the breakdown of our assets based on the 3 taxable buckets within RightCapital. So those are some common use cases for the snapshot. And when it comes to applying the snapshot, you can apply the template right from here, clicking apply template, and then similar to the onboarding template, or the, I should say the planning access template, you can select if this is going to be applied to all clients, client groups that you have created, or specific clients at one time. There was also a recent update as well that allows you to apply snapshot templates right from inside of a client plan. So previously, when we were looking at snapshot templates, you could only apply them from the templates tab. But we recently had an update that rolled out where if you scroll to the bottom of the snapshot within a client plan, you can actually apply a template now right from the client portal as well. So from here, we can curate which template we want to use and click apply. This is going to replace any existing snapshot items for the client. I want to preface that. So if you have specific text boxes that you have information in, be sure to just copy those and paste them somewhere else when you apply the templates if you have information you don't want to lose. This will completely override the snapshot for a specific client. There's no way to undo that once we hit confirm. You can see here, pretty straightforward. Once we hit confirm, that's going to apply the exact template that we've created to this specific client plan. Excellent. And let me just get back over to my templates tab. So that is going to be snapshot templates. Again, one-page view of pulling all information into RightCapital or from RightCapital into one spot. You can generate this into a PDF report by clicking snapshot, as we saw within the reports tab. So super nice visual here to have it nicely curated so your clients have a great idea of how their plan is performing. Next up is going to be the tasks tab. This is also pretty straightforward. These are going to be tasks that we can assign for streamlining follow-ups and assigning consistent action items to clients. They allow you to assign predefined to-do lists as part of your planning process. And if you're onboarding new clients or running maybe even quarterly reviews, this is going to help you build structured checklists that can be reused over and over again. We can see here the new template button, as like all of these, is going to allow us to start from scratch here, and we can click add a task. We can add a series of tasks. The tasks being added are going to allow us to control this by due date, who we're assigning it to, and priority. Priority meaning, how quickly does this need to get complete? And then you can also make this invisible to the client. So you can assign tasks if for your specific firm you are sharing client plans and maybe you have admin assistants that are doing data entry for you or manipulating client plans. If you have a paraplanner, I know that's very common as well. And you want to assign tasks to that paraplanner, you can hide the task so it's only viewable to the internal team and not visible to the client. So that's super, super great functionality there as well if you're working within a team. You can, of course, always apply this and have it visible to the client and have tasks for the client. Some common use cases with our tasks template would be something like a new client checklist. Here are going to be some really important informational pieces that have to be completed for a client plan to be successful. The first one being updating net worth information. This is going to ensure that the information entered in the plan is accurate and up to date. Without good data entry, we're not going to have a good client plan. So it's always important to highlight to clients that we get data entry entered in there accurately and up to date. Another common task could be uploading tax documents to Vault, especially if you're running tax strategies for your clients. We have to get that information in there, and the client will see that prompting for them. We also can email available times for the client or have the client email us available times for a client meeting if we're going to be meeting with the client. Same thing here for contacting Social Security to get a statement and completing that risk questionnaire. We also have something like a document collection flow. So maybe you're really trying to get documents for all these clients. You can ask specifically for these documents in the tasks tab. And then we also have something like advisor action. So again, these are going to be tasks that are hidden from the client. When we click onto them, I should actually have these checked off that they're not visible to the client, but we can see here that these are some tasks like ensuring the plan is up to date, and we're assigning this to all advisors and assistants within the plans as well. You'll see here now that I've set it to be invisible, we have an icon indicating to us that this is not visible to the clients. When it comes to applying this template, we're going to do it from within a client plan. We are not going to be able to apply it from the templates tab. So I'm going to open up a client plan here quickly. I will open up, let's see, somebody who does not have a template, probably Ross. Ross is not a real person. This is a sample plan. Go ahead and go over to our tasks tab, which is found under dashboard. And over here, right now we don't have any tasks. I'll hit add task. We can add a single task, but we have the ability to enter our task template here. So I'm going to click on my new client checklist, for example. This is going to show me my dates here and times. So I can select a due date for this checklist to be completed. We can push it out sometime for these clients. The holidays are coming up. We'll give them a little extra time and we'll hit save here. This is going to apply this task template automatically, so we're not having to create it over and over again for our clients. Now, when the clients are ready and this is completed, we just have them check it off and it will move over to the completed section. Perfect. Pretty straightforward on tasks, but let me know if anybody has any questions on how that's going to behave. We also have the Vault template that's going to show us or allow us to define a folder structure, I should say, within a client's document vault. So I've talked about the vault a couple of times. This is where we can upload documents within a client plan, or a client can upload documents within their own plan to give us visibility to those documents. Some common use cases would be a vault document for clients who maybe have a lot of businesses. We can structure these different folders, and then the clients will be able to open the folders and apply the document to the folder here. So we do have the ability, for example, with business clients, let me go back here and just talk about uploading their business financials, operating agreements, and payroll information. You can always add an additional folder and customize this as well. Make sure to hit the checkbox and we have a great folder structure here. So this is really going to just help us ensure consistency across the vault. Sometimes the vaults can get a little messy, especially if you have a lot of documents in there. So really great to just have that standardized process for the vault here. We also have something like a standard client. Maybe this is information that you're gathering from every single client that you meet with, something like tax documents, statements from the investment accounts, and maybe any legal documents, something like a power of attorney or a will. We can do estate information in here too. And you'll even notice I have an estate planning client checklist. Maybe we have older client demographic. You can title this or rechange the title by clicking the three dots in the circle if we want to adjust any of the templates that we've created so far. We can see here for estate planning, we're looking at tax documents, wills, trust documents, and beneficiary information. So when we apply this template, we're going to be able to go into the vault, the client will open it up and be able to enter their documents into the plan here. The vault template is only going to be able to be applied from outside here in the advisor portal. So we'll click apply template, very similar to the planning access or the snapshot templates. We can apply these to all clients, specific client groups, or specific clients at a time. Moving right along here, the next template type to look at is categories. Categories are going to be budget categories. So RightCapital does have a budgeting feature. What's going to happen is your client will link an account. Let me go into a client plan and actually show you what this looks like. But within a client portal, when you do invite your client, under the Profile Net Worth tab, they will be able to link an account using client aggregation. This is going to allow them to create a direct connection via our third-party aggregator to establish a data feed between the institution and RightCapital. Once the data feed is established, information will start pulling in from the connected accounts to our budget module within RightCapital. The budget module is found under the dashboard budget tab. Now, I don't have any linked accounts in this client plan, which is why we're not seeing it, but you would see that display if you do have accounts linked. So once the budget tab is created, we will have budget categories that the account transactions will map to. And I'll show you a screenshot in the Help Center to show you what this looks like. The Help Center is super easy to navigate. I'm going to click on budget here, searching it in this screen. What we see here with the budget tab is there's going to be a series of 4 tabs, and this is all information pulling in transactions from the linked accounts. The first step within the budget tab is actually going to be this budget tab in the far right-hand side here. And these are going to include all of the budget categories that these clients are spending their money on. So if you have specific categories for the clients that they'll be spending their money on that is not included in the ones that RightCapital include for you, you do have the ability to customize, add, remove, and create your own budget categories. So this can really be tailored to your specific client's situation. Now that we know what this kind of looks like, the other area that budget categories is going to impact is going to be the profile tab. And then when we look at expenses like living expenses, both pre and post retirement, you do have the ability to enter either a monthly expense amount or something like a detailed worksheet. The budget categories that you create will also be included in this detailed worksheet for the living expenses. So if you do want to break down the expenses by specific category in the actual expenses data entry in RightCapital, you have that flexibility here as well. When it comes to applying a budget template, we're going to do that from the advisor or from the client plan here. The budget categories are found under gear icon settings, then budget categories. You can add an individual category here, but we can also apply a template from the apply template screen here. Category template. We can select the template and that will override the selections within the budget categories here. So we're going to apply it from within inside a client plan, again in the gear icon settings, budget categories area. To actually create a budget categories template, I know I went a bit out of order on this one. We can click new template. It's going to give you the RightCapital defaults. You can always rename the template by clicking the 3 dots in the circle. You can rename the specific budget categories if auto and transport isn't suiting your style there. We can just switch it. We can also add specific categories via income, expense, or other. And when we do create this, it's going to give us a title to create this template, and we can make that selection there. Some common use cases would be something like business clients, where we're creating just additional business expense categories for our clients, or income categories. For example, we have business income and paychecks. We also have materials. So if this is a business that has like physical materials, we can include that. Office supplies is another one, maybe even something like business vehicles and loan payments, as well as contractor expenses. So you can really curate these as well to get real specific. Another thing would be something like a young family. We have college funds and education planning that are coming into play now, as well as childcare and back to school shopping. And then lastly, here I have something like a retiree age group, where maybe new hobbies are something they're starting to pick up, or a lot of travel. We have a lot of our snowbirds, especially from Connecticut, going down to sunny Florida. So we can really get creative on these different budget categories. Perfect. And then again, to apply those templates, we're going to go within a client plan in that gear icon settings budget categories. The next template we have here is our estate checklist template. This is part of the newer update. We released this recently, where you can create an example estate checklist here. So by default, RightCapital within the estate tab is going to give you the ability to enter checklist information, or to check off whether or not the clients have these specific documents uh, for their estate planning needs. You can create a new template to streamline the specific documents that you want your clients to check off. We'll click New Template. This is going to give us the ability to add the new template, and then in the new section, you can add the section name, the checkbox name, and the fields here. You can title the fields, so maybe if it's something like trust information, you can enter like grantor, and then whether or not it's going to be a text or a date box as well. So this is going to allow you to indicate what is the section, the name of the checkbox, the fields that are going to populate when you check off the box, and then what type of field that this is going to be. So I'll hit save here. Oh, I'll hit cancel here. We're going to apply the template from the advisor portal here, apply template, very similar to the other templates in RightCapital. And then for anybody who's not familiar with that, with that estate checklist, let me just jump in there and show you what I'm talking about. So I'll just open up a client plan here. And this is my 6-step data entry plan. Let me get a better plan that is not in my 6-step data entry. We are looking at estate checklist. So here we are, going to be this estate checklist. This is indicating if you have these specific documents for your clients. This is good. They'll check it off, and we see here the name of executor and the name of the grantor or the guardian, and when the document was last updated. So when you click on this information, if it's a date box, it's going to look like a date. If it's a text box, you're going to be able to type in information here. So you can use the RightCapital defaults, but you can also create additional ones or remove ones that RightCapital already has. If you want to remove it, you can just uncheck it, and this will hide it from the view as well. And then lastly here, we just have Express templates. So RightCapital recently released the Express client type of planning. It's going to allow us to streamline the data entry for maybe prospecting clients is the goal here. So if we have a prospecting client, it's going to give us just a more streamlined data entry to get us a result from the client plan a lot faster. It's going to help us showcase the value of what we can do as advisors, as well as highlight the benefit of using a system like RightCapital to run the projections for you. When it comes to an Express client, we do have the ability to create Express templates. So Express is going to be a shortened view of RightCapital. We can include items like Social Security, retirement analysis, debt payoff strategies, risk, the vault, and tasks. So depending on which sorts of prospects you're working with and the specific type of planning that you do, you can give a specific Express access to your Express clients to highlight the specific items to those prospects. For an example, I have something here like a basic template. This is going to show us Social Security and retirement information, which is really common, as well as uploading documents to the vault. We also have something like a risk assessment. So if we really just want to get the household risk set up for this plan, then we can see here we have the ability to just check off risk and the vault. We have something like a young client where we're going to look at maybe paying off some debt, risk tolerance for the young client to help establish their portfolio, and then vault, and of course, tasks to keep our young people accountable. When it comes to applying an Express template, we're going to do this from the Clients tab. If we do have an Express client that we've created, you'll see here I have a little lightning bolt icon. When it comes to actually adding an Express client into RightCapital, you're going to click on the drop down next to add a client, and we'll add a new Express client. So I'm just going to create a sample plan here. Express access is either going to be full access, or we can select the templates right from this screen. So we can select that there, and that's going to create our Express access plan, which is going to show us debt, risk, the vault, and tasks. You'll see here really streamlined information to get the clients into the system and get reviews, results a lot faster. Excellent. And then one last thing with templates. So we've gone through and covered all the different template types. I do see your questions popping through, and I'm more than happy to answer all of them. But one more thing before we dive into the Q&A, I also want to just touch on the ability to make these custom templates the default for any clients that we create in the system. You do have the ability, say you create a planning access template, and we want this planning access template to be what every client we create in RightCapital to use regardless. And I don't want to have to go in and manually tell every new client's system that we have to use this template. I want it to be the default. As soon as I create a client plan, that's the template that's going to be utilized. The way to do that is going to be in the Client Settings tab under the More menu, and then Client Groups. Then we have here default templates. So you're going to break out client groups. The default for new clients when you create a new client in RightCapital is going to be existing clients. So when you create a new client, we're going to click default templates. And then what's going to happen here is we can apply the specific templates that we've created. So that way, this is the default template that RightCapital uses when a new client is created. We can see here we have the ability to select any of the templates that we've created within the drop downs here. We also have a default Express access if we wanted to really highlight Express access templates as well. So really great here. This is how we're going to apply this information. Now you can create additional client groups. And then when you are within the clients tab, when it comes to actually getting clients into a specific group, we're going to click on that client, and then in client group here, we can just move them to a different group. So if you have different clients in different groups that have different templates, you can move them around based on this client group selection within the clients tab here.